Before Julius Caesar was a legend on a coin, he was a politician in Rome with a small problem. He owed an astronomical amount of money. We're talking by a small country levels of debt, mostly to a man named Crassus, Rome's richest citizen. So when he was appointed proconsul of Gaul, a region roughly covering modern France, he didn't see pristine forests and vibrant cultures. He saw an untapped market, an opportunity for a hostile takeover funded by Conquest, packaged as a glorious service to the Republic. This wasn't about patriotism, it was the most brutal debt consolidation scheme in history, and an entire people were about to pay the interest. Every good war needs a good excuse, and Caesar was a master of public relations. His came in the form of the Helvetii tribe. They decided to pack up and migrate across Gaul, burning their own villages behind them to eliminate any temptation to return. Caesar, writing in his own memoirs, which is like letting a CEO write his own performance review, claimed they were a threat to Roman security. He built a massive wall in record time just to block them, waited for them to take another route, and then declared their very existence a provocation. He pursued and slaughtered them, men, women, and children, justifying it all as a necessary defensive action. It's amazing how often defense looks like chasing people for hundreds of miles to annihilate them. Caesar was meticulous about keeping records, especially when it came to body counts. It made him look efficient back in Rome. In his own account, he claims that out of 368,000 Helvetii who started the migration, only 110,000 survived to be sent back home. Over the entire 8-year campaign, the ancient historian Plutarch estimates that Caesar fought against 3 million Gauls. Of those, 1 million were killed and another million were sold into slavery. Think about that. 1 in 3 people dead. Another 1 in 3 enslaved. This wasn't just a war, it was a demographic catastrophe, a systematic depopulation of an entire region. And Caesar kept the receipts. Gaul wasn't a single country. It was a chaotic collection of over 400 tribes who mostly enjoyed fighting each other. Caesar saw this not as a problem, but as a feature. His entire strategy was to offer his friendship to one tribe to help their local rival. He'd help the Aedui fight the Sequani, then declare the Germans helping the Sequani an enemy of Rome, and so on. Once his allies had served their purpose and his enemies were crushed, he'd find a convenient reason to turn on his former friends. He created a subscription service for Roman military intervention, and the cancellation policy was brutal. The siege of Avaricum is a perfect example of Caesar's methods. The Gauls argued for a scorched earth policy, but the Bituriges tribe begged to save their beautiful, well-fortified city. Big mistake. After a 27-day siege involving massive Roman engineering projects, the legions broke through during a rainstorm. Caesar writes that his soldiers, incensed by the massacre and the fatigue of the siege, spared no one, not the elderly, not women, not children. Out of a population of 40,000, he casually notes that only 800 escaped to tell the tale. He framed this not as a war crime, but as a reasonable reaction from his tired troops. Apparently, genocide is an acceptable workplace stress response. It took years of this systematic destruction for the Gauls to realize the biggest threat wasn't their neighbor. It was the Roman peacemaker. Their resistance finally found a leader in Vercingetorix, a young nobleman from the Arverni tribe. He wasn't some mythic hero from the start. He was a pragmatic leader who had to use force and threats to unite the perpetually squabbling tribes. He convinced them to adopt the scorched earth strategy they'd earlier rejected, burning their own towns and farms to deny supplies to the Roman legions. It was a desperate, brutal, but surprisingly effective strategy. For a while, at least. The final showdown happened at Alesia. Vercingetorix and 80,000 of his soldiers were holed up in a hilltop fort. Caesar, with his smaller army, decided to besiege them. But Caesar knew a massive Gallic relief army was coming. So what did he do? He built two walls. One, an 11-mile wall facing inward to keep Vercingetorix trapped. The other, a 13-mile wall facing outward to keep the relief army out. In between these walls, complete with trenches, traps, and watchtowers, his army waited. When the non-combatants in Alesia were sent out to save food, Caesar refused to let them through his lines. He just let them starve to death in the no-man's land between the two armies. It was military genius applied to maximum human suffering. After the Gallic relief force was defeated, Vercingetorix surrendered in a dramatic fashion, supposedly throwing his weapons at Caesar's feet. It was a great photo op. His reward for this noble gesture? He was kept in a Roman prison for 6 years, the infamous Tullianum. It's less a prison and more a glorified sewer. He was then paraded through Rome in chains during Caesar's triumph and publicly strangled. With the resistance broken, Rome got to work. They didn't just rule Gaul, they systematically dismantled its culture. Druidism was suppressed, the Gallic language faded, and the entire region was repackaged as a Roman province. The genocide wasn't just physical, it was cultural. And how do we know most of these details? From the man himself. Caesar's Commentari de Bello Gallico, or Commentaries on the Gallic War, is one of history's most successful works of propaganda. He cleverly wrote it in the third person, making it sound like an objective, unbiased report. The Latin is famously simple and direct, meaning it was accessible and easy to read for the political classes back in Rome. Every decision is framed as a reluctant necessity. Every victory is for the glory of Rome. Every massacre is the Gauls' own fault. He wasn't just conquering a people, he was conquering the narrative, ensuring that for 2,000 years, his version of the story would be the one everyone read. So, what was the end result of all this? The plunder from Gaul made Caesar and his associates fabulously wealthy, paying off all his debts and then some. It gave him a battle-hardened, fanatically loyal army that would follow him anywhere, including across the Rubicon River directly into a civil war that would destroy the Roman Republic and make him a dictator. The entire Gallic campaign wasn't an end in itself. It was a bloody, brutal, genocidal investment that provided the capital and the muscle for his ultimate ambition. He built his throne on a foundation of Gallic skulls, and the world was never the same. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds.